Well, hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. We are live for another Printify webinars. My name is Martin. It's my privilege to be your host today. And I know I say this just about every time, but it's true every time I say it. This is going to be our biggest webinar ever because we are joined by a special guest today. Some of you may already know her. Her name is Cassiy Johnson. Cassiy, hello. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm so good. Thanks for having me, Martin. And hello, everybody.
Good, wonderful. Well, Cassiy is not only a successful Printify merchant, but she is also an Etsy superstar. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the intersection of Printify and Etsy. And this is not only for all of you out there that are new to Printify and are looking for all those tips and tricks to get started, but there's going to be stuff in here for you as a merchant if you've been at this for a while. So I guarantee you there'll be something for everyone here. So stick around and we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be giving away prizes and you're going to hear a ton of helpful information from one of Etsy's best and one of Printify's best, Cassiy Johnson. And I mentioned it before, but I want to give a plug for my live Q&A sessions. Now, all of you out there are going to be, we're going to be putting a link into the chat where you can book a live Q&A session with yours truly. And it's a way for us to sort of informally communicate. And how I like to do it is I like to make it available to everyone for free. Whomever shows up, the mics go live, the cameras go hot, and we talk about everything under the POD sun. So if you're looking for information on how to get yourself started, or you have a question about Printify or anything in the Printify universe, come join me for a live Q&A session. I do 2 of them a week, starting on this following Wednesday, and I'd be happy to do whatever I can to make you a more profitable merchant. So sign up today. All right, and I mentioned prizes. For those of you new, if this is your first webinar, first of all, thank you for joining us, but we like to give away prizes during our webinar. So at the end of today's presentation, we're gonna pop a link into our chat to a very short survey. Let us know how we did, what you'd like to see from us in the future, and we're also gonna have a trivia question based on today's presentation. For 3 of you that answer that trivia question correctly, you're going to win a prize package. You're going to win a Printify Webinars hoodie, a personalized Printify Webinars water bottle, and $50 of Printify sales credit put directly into your account. And you're going to give away something too, Cassiy. Tell us what that is.
Absolutely. So I'm going to be giving away my niche calendar because I know when you're new, it's hard to know what to sell and when, especially to be ready early for those holidays and seasons that you can make so much money in. So I've actually created a full 12-month calendar with 40+ niches of what to design for and when. And so I will be giving 3 of those away today.
Wonderful. Okay, so 3 lucky winners are going to walk away with a pretty awesome prize package, but we're also going to pepper in a little bit of fun throughout the presentation. At 2 points in today's webinar, you will have the opportunity to put in a coupon code into your Printify account and win $50 of Printify sales credit. So get your Printify accounts up and running. Click on that little green button in the upper right-hand corner. There's like a little outline of a person in there. Okay, you're going to see a drop-down menu. Go to the payment section, scroll down just a little bit to where it says coupons, and get ready because I'm going to announce the coupon code. Whoever puts it in the quickest will get a free $50 of Printify sales credit. Okay, so get your Printify accounts ready. All right, so and also, we'll be having a live Q&A session with our guest Cassiy and myself at the end. So put your questions into the chat. No need to wait until the end. Our moderators, Kristaps and Sarang, will be going through the chat and collecting those questions. We'll address them at the end. So as they come to you, pop those right into chat. Okay. And speaking of the chat, how about everybody right now put into the chat where you're joining us from? State, city, country, province, whatever it might be. Love seeing how big the Printify print on demand community is, and everybody likes to see where everyone is from. So do that right now. Let's make sure the chat feature is working. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, that is enough from me. We will cover a few really interesting topics in today's presentation. We're going to talk about Printify and Etsy and the relationship there and how you can connect everything up so you have everything running smoothly. Cassie's going to give a short presentation on how to open your Etsy store and the ins and outs and the tips and tricks, what to sell on Etsy. We're going to talk about validating your niche and choosing a niche, what not to sell on Etsy, which is just as important to know as what to sell on Etsy. And then Cassie's going to go through creating your first design and making your first listing, okay? And then again, as I promised, a Q&A afterwards, okay? Well, that's enough from me. Cassiy, let's talk about you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks, Martin. So, like you said, my name is Cassiy Johnson. So, in 2020, I was working at a corporate sales job that I absolutely hated, but I was having trouble finding an alternative that I could go to and still work the hours that I wanted without having a college degree, which I don't have. So I don't have any design experience. I don't have a college degree. And so it felt like the options were a little bit limited. So if you're in the same boat, don't worry, this is the perfect place for you. So then came the pandemic. Me and my husband both lost our jobs within a week of each other, which was life-changing, obviously. So I started looking for ways to make money from home, like a lot of people did. And the first video I saw on print on demand with Etsy, I was hooked, and I knew this was the exact right place for me because I have tried many things in the past, making things at home. One example being like a mug that I dipped in nail polish and thought about selling online. I thought of a lot of different things that did not become fruitful. So print on demand was absolutely the answer for me. And once I got started in about May of 2020, I never stopped. And now I've sold over $700,000 of revenue on Etsy to date. And last year, or I guess not last year, in June of 2021 is when I actually quit my full-time job and now get to do this full-time ever since, which is absolutely wild because if you're paying attention, that was just a little over a year from when I started to when I got to actually take this completely full-time. So it's been a really magical ride. And then last year I did also start my YouTube channel. So if you want more tips and tricks after this webinar, do go ahead and subscribe. My name is Cassiy Johnson on YouTube.
Wonderful. What an inspiring story. So you mentioned Etsy, you mentioned Printify. Let's talk about that relationship and how that works out. Okay. So Printify and Etsy, take it away. Why Etsy?
So there's a lot of different places you can sell with print on demand. And for one couple big reasons, I really think Etsy is the exact right place to be, especially if you're a beginner. And that's because of all of the free organic traffic that Etsy brings to their website. So they are becoming slowly a household name. If you haven't noticed, they're advertising at the Super Bowl, they're advertising on tons of different websites, they're advertising on YouTube. And so more and more every day, people are starting to recognize Etsy as a place to shop, and they're growing every single year. So, Etsy's revenue from September 2022 for the year was $2.47 billion, which was an 11% increase year over year. And in 2021, they had a 35% increase from 2020. So they are growing every single year and bringing new sellers or new buyers to their platform. So the really big benefit is that you don't have to go find those customers.
Okay. Wonderful. So Etsy seems like the place to be.
It really is. And again, as a beginner, it's a no-brainer. So here is their growth since 2014. It's astronomical, the amount of growth that they've had over time. This is their quarterly growth up until Q3 of 2022. I don't have the updated chart, but I'm pretty sure they beat Q4 compared to 2021 and did staggeringly better numbers. So definitely a great place to be. So this is kind of why I think Etsy is really the place to be if you're looking to get into print on demand, because Etsy is a search engine based platform. So the way that it works is people come to Etsy with already having something in mind that they'd like to purchase. They type that into the search bar, whether that is, a gift for a teacher or a funny cat shirt. They type that into the search bar, they look through the search results, they click one and they buy it. And so you don't have to do as much like marketing for yourself if you don't want to. There's a lot of benefits to being able to sell on their platform without doing any additional advertising outside of Etsy. So you just need to figure out what customers are already searching for in Etsy and then create products for those categories, and you can be wildly successful on their platform. So it's obviously
Here's my
oh, go
question. Why
ahead.
Printify? Why Etsy and Printify?
So I'm a little biased. I have used another print provider in the past, and I switched to Printify really quickly because they are amazing. So the big difference between Printify and some of their competitors, if you're not familiar already, is that they're not just one company. So it's a platform that brings together 80 plus print providers from around the world in one convenient place for you. So you don't have to go find a different print provider if yours doesn't have the product that you're looking for. They typically are going to have every product you could ever want to print on one website. That's super easy to use, and it's fully integrated with Etsy. And so it does make it a really seamless process that when you get an order on Etsy, that gets sent to Printify. Printify makes it, they ship it, they send it, and they update your tracking number on Etsy for you. So it makes your life a lot easier, especially if you are still working full time, which I'm sure most of you are. This is going to take up a lot less of your time having to manually put any orders in. And they do have really quick and easy customer service. So if you ever need anything, they will take care of it for you.
Sure. And that means the quicker we can solve your customer issues, the quicker you can solve the customer issues on your end and make more sales. Okay. And it comes as no surprise that Printify, whether even if you start with a different print on demand platform, you'll eventually make your way over to Printify because we're the best.
I absolutely agree. And obviously you have different options with your business. Some people are like, well, why would I pay Printify this much money per shirt when I could make it at home for so much less? I think that's something a lot of people struggle with before they get into print on demand. But the real benefit to print on demand is there's no need to purchase any printing equipment, hold hundreds of boxes of stock in all the different colors and sizes. You don't have to go ship things every single day. Instead, you get to spend all of that time creating new designs to sell. And so you just publish new listings and handle the customer service, and Printify does the rest for you. And so there is really a massive benefit to handing over all of that to Printify, and then you just having to create new great products and kind of focus on what's going to make you the most amount of money. So as a one-person business owner, you can scale and have a huge business all by yourself. You don't ever have to hire an employee, which is what's really kind of sold me, obviously, on working with Printify.
Well, truer words have never been spoken. So how does the connection between Printify and Etsy work?
Absolutely. So I think this is where some people get confused. So I did want to kind of touch on this. So the only connection between Printify and Etsy is the actual order information. So the payments are not connected at all. So this makes you the middleman for the payments. So when the order comes in, that order information, so what color, what size, what design, the customer's name, their address to ship it to, all of that goes to Printify, but you are going to be handling the payments. So here we have a quick little infographic just to make sure it's super clear on how this works. So the customer buys the item on Etsy, and then you actually, with your own credit card, debit card, PayPal account, pay Printify for that item plus the shipping costs. And then Etsy pays you what the customer paid minus their Etsy fees. And so you are kind of that middleman, middle person. So typically you will receive anywhere between a 20 to 40% profit margin, depending on what you're selling, just to give you kind of a basis on what kind of profit you should be looking to make.
Sure. And at the end of all those, transactions, the money left over is what you get to take home as your profit.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. Well, I promised everyone out there a chance to win, and don't call me a liar because now is the time. Okay, get your Printify accounts out. Click that little green button at the upper right-hand corner. Go down to the payment section, navigate down to where it says coupons, and get ready to enter today's first coupon code. Are you ready? I hope so. And if you win, let us know in the chat. Today's first coupon code is Cassiy 2023. Make sure you spell it correctly. Cassiy 2023. Good luck. And if you didn't win, don't worry, you'll have another chance coming up here in just a little bit. And congratulations to the winner. I'm sure someone has already won. Okay, but let's get back to the presentation. Cassiy, now we've gone over some of the basics. Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of opening your Etsy store. Okay.
Absolutely. So if you haven't opened your Etsy store just yet, here are a few things that I think you really need to know before opening it. And the first is that your store might get deactivated after opening it. So Etsy really tries to mitigate having like scammers and spammers and bots create Etsy stores on their platform. And a lot of times new sellers get incorrectly flagged as a spam account. And so this happened to me when I first opened my Etsy store. My account got suspended my second day, but you just need to know that they will reopen your account. You just need to email them, let them know that that's what happened. And typically they get your account back opened within a few days. I've seen maybe up to a week, but usually it's really quick. Just sometimes they don't remember to email you and let you know they reopened it. So if this happens to you, don't be disheartened. Just know it's part of the process. And then just check back on your Etsy store every day to see if you're able to log back into your account.
Okay, so the trick is don't panic. It's perfectly normal. You'll be getting back to work in no time. Okay, and we'll be putting in a link here into the listing, into the chats for an opportunity to take advantage of one of Cassie's offers in today's webinar to get 4 free Etsy listings. So let's make sure we get that into the chat. Make sure you take advantage of it out there, everyone. Okay.
Yes, so you will get 40 free Etsy listings if you haven't already opened an Etsy shop yet, is who those listings will work for. Unfortunately, they're not available necessarily everywhere from what I've heard. So it may or may not work for you, but I know if you're in, say, the US, the UK, some of the bigger places, the free listings will work for you. So it's about $8 in savings for you in free listings. Another thing that you may need to know is you may need to verify your bank account when you sign up. So they will actually use a company called Plaid. They'll send a small amount of money to your bank account, and you'll have to come back in a few days and verify what amount of money they put into your account. It's probably like 30 cents, and then they take it back. So both of these things might take you a few extra days to actually get your shop up and running. And so I just want you to know that if you go to open your Etsy account, it's not like you can typically start listing today. Some people can, some people can't, but it's just good to know what to expect. I would also recommend using a business email to open your account, because when someone purchases from you, there is one spot where they can actually email you. And so just make sure whatever email you sign up for Etsy with is something appropriate and something that you'd want people to be able to contact you on. And then lastly, I don't want you to overthink your Etsy name. I see this hold a lot of new people up. Your name is not the most important thing of the world. So you want to go through Etsy and just get some inspiration of what other people made their shop names. Trust me, most of them don't even make any sense at all. So just use a word or words you like, followed by shop or boutique or something along those lines. I had one friend name her store after a paint color. So there's a ton of options. Just consider checking potentially any trademarks with your name, as well as any social media's names, just in case there's already a business with that name, and just get it opened.
Good advice. Okay.
So the first thing that you'll run into when you go to open an Etsy store that's just important to know is they're going to ask you to create your first listing, but this is not what you're actually going to keep in your store. So I just wanted you to know this is a temporary listing. You will delete this once you actually get your store opened, because you are using a print-on-demand partner, Printify. You'll actually be starting your listings with Printify in the future, not starting on Etsy like this is making you. So just fill out any necessary information that they make you in this screen and save it. And once you log in, just delete it. So don't overthink this or panic that you need to have your first product figured out to open your store. Just fill this out as best as you can and move on. Another really important thing to know when you're first opening your Etsy store, which isn't as fun, but again, super important to know, is that your account will be put on something called payment reserves when you first open it. So they will put your account on payment reserves typically for your first 90 days. They keep a portion of your sale until you provide the tracking number for your shipment. So this does put a little bit of a lag, again, on you being the middleman as far as the payments. So at first, you'll only be getting paid once per per week. After your 90 days, you can change it to pay you daily, but that does mean that in the very beginning, it is a good idea to have just a little bit of money in your account that you're able to front load and pay for these orders before you actually fulfill them. So a good kind of tip is to open up, say, a credit card or use something like that. That way you can get rewards points. And don't worry, I know this might sound really scary, but the chances of you getting hundreds of orders your first day is very, very unlikely. So don't let this scare you off, as much as I wish that was the reality. I just wanted you to kind of know that this is what you're going to run into in the beginning.
Okay. Well, that's what we like to call a good problem anyways, if you get immediately hundreds and hundreds of orders, but good.
It would be a good problem. You'd figure it out if that happened.
Okay.
So I just wanted, oh, go ahead.
No, please.
I just wanted to put this in here that a lot of people like to spend weeks doing all of the research and trying to figure everything out, so that way they feel completely ready before they open your shop. But if you're sitting here and you are one of those people, just know that you can never be fully prepared. And especially because your shop might get shut down, you might have to verify your bank account. I'm going to challenge you to just tackle this today. Because if you get your Etsy shop open and your Printify account opened and connected, that way when you are feeling more ready to take the next steps in your business, this piece isn't going to hold you back. So really, this business is going to look like a lot of little teeny baby steps every day that eventually gets you there. If you're not feeling super confident, like you can do this, just trust me, that's going to come with action. The longer you wait, the more unsure you're going to feel. So just don't wait, open it all today, and trust me, it'll all make sense as you go.
Wonderful. And I'd like to take this opportunity just to mention how easy and simple it is to integrate your Etsy shop with your Printify account. Now we're going to pop a article from our help center into the chat right now. And it's really super simple. Really, all the heavy lifting, once that's done on the Etsy side of things, connecting to your Printify account is as easy as a click of the button. Follow the instructions in the help center article, and basically just navigate through that. Click on Etsy, enter your Etsy information, and in a few minutes you'll be connected and ready to start selling. So super easy. So Cassiy, great. I have my Etsy store up and running. I have it connected to my Printify account. Now, what the heck do I sell?
That is a great question, Martin. It's a lot of different things that you can sell on Etsy, but there's two main things that you have to kind of weigh and consider before deciding what you want to sell. So there's two things that people really recommend, and that's either having a niche store, which is where you have one niche and you build a brand or a following around it. So an example of this is you could have a cat themed store where you sell tons of different products, all with cat designs on it. Or you sell only t-shirts with cat things on it. It's something more specific. Maybe you sell only nurse shirts or nurse items in your store. And then you build a following on social media, you build an email list, and you really try and promote to one specific customer avatar. The other kind of thought process is a general store. So this is where you sell in multiple different niches on Etsy, and you rely mostly on the free Etsy traffic and really capitalize on what people are already searching for. So this is actually what I use in my store. So I sell mainly t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, and tote bags. Those are my preferred product categories from Printify. And I sell hundreds of different niches. So I sell in anything from t-shirts to funny shirts to Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, every holiday. And the reason why I think this works really well on Etsy is, again, because there's millions of shoppers coming to Etsy every single day already looking for these categories. And so if you build a really strong base of more generic evergreen niches or something that could sell all year round, like mom shirts, cat shirts, funny dad shirts, and then you have some holidays and seasons like Christmas and Halloween and Easter and St. Patrick's Day, you'll also get those really big spikes. But that's what I feel like has helped me build a really consistent income for myself on my Etsy store. So you can kind of weigh these and decide what makes the most sense for you, but that is kind of the first decision that I'd make.
Yeah, it really comes down to you as the merchant. How do you want to spend your time? Because it's going to be you that's going to be dealing with this stuff. You're going to be elbows deep in either your niche store or your general store. So how do you want to spend your time? Because it's one thing to have a thriving business, but it's another thing to look forward to doing it every single day and doing something you love. So just ask yourself that question, and the answer should present itself.
Well, and you can always start with a general store. And if you find one niche you really love, you can always make that transition later. Don't feel the pressure to have to make that decision now. And then obviously, as far as what product to sell on, like I said, I sell mostly t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, and mugs, but there's 800 plus products that you can sell using Printify. So there's a lot of different options. So if you already have something in mind that you'd like to sell, perfect, but you'd need to first validate that to make sure that there is demand for it on Etsy. And so that's going to be the most important part when deciding what product type to sell, is making sure that it is a valid product. And I think we cover that in the next slide.
Okay, and make sure you check back early and often, because we're adding new products to Printify all the time. Check out that new products category in our catalog. You never know what's gonna pop up, but guaranteed, if your customers want to buy it, we will offer it to you. But let's talk about validating your niche. Let's move along.
So you want to validate your niche, which, if you're not familiar, a niche is a specialized market segment for a particular kind of product or service. So, again, that example could be your dog niche, cat niche, mom niche, or your niche could even just be t-shirts. Your niche can be the actual product type itself. So you need to validate your niche to make sure there is demand. So that might sound a little counterintuitive, but I want you to validate your niche by finding other sellers on the platform that have already been successful selling it. Because if you go to sell a product and no one's ever been successful with it on Etsy, it could be because no one is searching for that product. And so the best way to validate it is to find other successful sellers, and then you can prove that there's demand and there's people shopping for that. And if you just put your own spin on it, you can make money too.
Okay. And if you're new to POD, just be prepared to hear the word niche a lot. It's one of those buzzwords that you're never going to be able to get away from. So
that is super true. So how to do your validation. So what I would do if you're trying to choose a niche. So let's say you do want to have a cat only store or a t-shirt only store. You want to sell slippers or candles. You'd want to go find 10 recently opened within the last 2 to 3 years stores on Etsy that have been successfully selling in your niche. And if all of these people have been successful, then that proves there's demand and shows customers are searching for those items on Etsy. So we'll kind of jump through a couple slides to show you what that kind of would look like in practice. So let's say you wanted to have a store selling funny mugs. You'd go to Etsy and you'd type in funny mug. And you're going to look for popular stores. The easiest way to do that from the actual search results is to find sellers with a lot of reviews. So this number right next to the stars on the right there, that 4236, that's not the number of reviews for this one item. That's the number of reviews they have for their entire store. And so that means they've probably gotten 5-10 times that many sales. So that's kind of how you initially would find the items or find the stores. And then you want to go to their store and see how long they've been open. So if you scroll to the bottom of their Etsy shop, sometimes it'll tell you what year they opened. So this one opened in 2016. If it doesn't say it right there, you can also go to their oldest review to get an idea of how long they've been opened. So say this store, if they've sold, let's just do an example of 10,000 things since 2016, that's not as impressive as if someone sold 10,000 things in the last year. That's why you want to try and find stores that are more recently opened than that, because you want to make sure that there's current demand and not just over time getting sales.
All right, great. So now I know what I want to sell. Now, Cassiy, what do I not want to sell on Etsy?
Absolutely. So there's a few things you want to stay away from, and that is any trademarked terms. So if you're super new to print on demand, I know this is something that I didn't know about when I first got started, is that there's certain words on shirts or on mugs or specific items that can get trademarked. And so you do need to actually check the trademark database. And this is specifically for the US. If you're selling in multiple countries, this can be a little bit more of an in-depth process. I personally only sell in the US, which is always an option to keep it simple if you want to, even if you don't live in the United States. You'd go to the website, and I use the example Mental Health Matters, and you can type something in like that and see if it's trademarked for the item that you're selling it on. So this one in particular, just as an example, that actual design shown on that image is what's trademarked, not the actual words. And so I do have a full video on my channel kind of explaining what goes into checking for trademarks. So you can watch more of that later, but make sure to check those. You also want to avoid copyright infringement. So these are things like movie references and characters, quotes from shows, locations on shows, brand names, company logos, sports team logos, or copying someone else's designs are all things that could get you a copyright infringement. So make sure to stay away from things, obviously, like Mickey Mouse and Disney are all copyrighted items that you don't have a license to sell on shirts.
Yes, and again, Cassiy, truer words have never been spoken. I can't tell you the amount of conversations I've had with merchants that come to me and say, "Martin, I got my Etsy shop shut down because I was using designs I wasn't supposed to. Can you help?" And the answer is no. I mean, once Etsy shuts you down, there's very little chance of you getting that reversed. And I always tell people, using copywritten images or copyrighted images is not a long-term strategy for success, okay? It may work for a while, but eventually the gig is up and you got to pay the piper, okay? So under no circumstances are we advising you to use copywritten images, okay? And don't feel like you're skirting the law by saying, "Oh, I drew the image myself, therefore it's my own." Well, that's not going to work, and you don't want to be on the business end of some high-priced corporate lawyers. So best thing is don't do it, and because there's so many ways out there for you to make a living and make a POD a success, it's not worth your time and effort to even go that direction.
Exactly.
Okay? All right. Well, I promised you yet another chance to win, and that chance is right now. Go ahead, get your Printify accounts out. Green button, payments, coupons, get ready to enter that coupon code. Okay, are you ready? All right. Our second and final coupon code for today for $50 of Printify sales credit is Etsy 2023. Go ahead, type. Who's typing the fastest? Let's go, let's go. Okay, and if you are indeed the winner, let us know in the chat so we can all celebrate your win. And if you didn't win, well, better luck next time. This is something we love to do on all of our webinars, so tune in next time and you'll have another chance to win. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. All right, let's talk about design. This is another sticking point that I hear from merchants that are starting out. They don't know anything about designing, or they don't know how to get started. So let's demystify some of that process, okay?
So there's lots of different ways that you can get designs for your print-on-demand business. Personally, my favorite is creating my own designs using the really easy-to-use software, canva.com. And I do have a link for you that I think they'll put in the chat for a 30-day free trial if you've never used Canva before. It's $13 a month or $120 a year. So I know it sounds like kind of a lot, but for what it offers and what you're able to create for your business with the free graphics that they offer to be able to use with their pro program, it is definitely worth it. Some of your other options are actually hiring designers. So you could hire a designer on, say, the website Fiverr or on Upwork. That's always an option for you as well. But in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create your own designs, because even if you want to hire designers in the future, I think it's a good idea to have a base understanding of how to do this in the first place if you need to.
And this is another conversation I've had plenty of times with merchants. They start out and they don't know exactly the ins and outs of designing, but as they become familiar with the tools, they find that they actually love it. It's a way to express yourself creatively, and it's super rewarding to have a design that you created that came from your mind, that you put out for sale to the community, and to have people actually respond and buy it, and you just know people are out there wearing a t-shirt with your design on it. It's actually you might find it to be the most rewarding part of the process. So jump in with both feet and it's super fun. But if you are looking to get started, no problem. On your Printify account, we have access to millions of Shutterstock images. You'll find that available in the design editor, and also a button to connect you directly to Fiverr, as Cassiy mentioned earlier, where you can connect with one of their contractors. And we have an entire library of free designs for you to use. Feel free to use them as little or as much as you want. They're 100% free. That's also in your Printify account. So with Shutterstock, Fiverr, and the free designs, you at least have a place to start. And then as you develop with these tools that Cassiy mentioned, like Canva or any of the number of other tools out there, you're going to have a world of designing at your fingertips. Okay, so wonderful stuff. Okay.
So the way that you'll find what to actually design for is you want to do your competitor research to find proven and successful niches and designs for your store. So what you'll be looking for is, again, let's say you wanted to make a design for funny mugs. You type in funny mugs and then you look through the search results and click on listings, and you're looking for these little badges shown here on the right where that are popular now, bestseller, or in 20+ carts. You'll see that after you actually click a listing. And this is, again, just like your research for validating your niches to sell in your store. This is going to help you validate that that type of design is going to sell well if you list it in your store. So this is where you're going to actually find what to make within your own niches. And then to find the right design size for your designs, once you've chosen your product, so let's say you chose t-shirts like I did, when you actually open the t-shirt on Printify to edit it and add your design, on the bottom right, you'll see the print file requirements, and it'll tell you for whatever item you're designing for, how big your design actually needs to be. And that's the size we're going to make our canvas on Canva when we are designing.
Okay, and there's a really cool feature in your Printify account that'll let you know if your design is of high enough quality or not. There'll be a little meter that's going to go red, yellow, and green on the right hand side. So there'll be no mistaking whether or not your design is right for that particular product.
So after you create your design, you can try and stand out with digital mock-ups. So Printify does give you some pictures of your design on the product to make sure that it looks like it's already made, but you can also purchase these separately on Etsy. So the ones on the left here, you see you can get Christmas themed ones, you can get Valentine's Day themed ones, things of people actually wearing them. And so this can be a great way to really personalize it. If you're selling a dog themed shirt, you can have a person holding a dog in the picture. So this can be a great way to stand out in the search results. So if you want to buy any mock-ups for your business, you just go to Etsy, and for this example, say black handle mug mock-up, and a lot of great options are going to come up, and you just download it, add your design on top of it, and that is what you'll upload to your Etsy store. And I will give you a quick presentation on how to do that in just a minute as well.
Okay. And there's nothing to stop you from taking your own pictures and using them as your mock-ups. If you order some product samples yourself, go down to the park with your friends, take some pictures and put those up on your store. It's a great way to kind of liven things up, have some fun, and of course, express a little bit of that creativity that I mentioned earlier. So any number of ways to do these mock-ups, but keep in mind, here's a little tip. Mock-ups using real human beings, our research shows, have a higher conversion rate than those that don't. But that's not to say that some of those static images, like what you see here with the mugs, don't pay off. Of course they do. But just keep that in mind and maybe have a fresh balance. But just keep in mind, mock-ups with real human beings are more eye-catching and will lead to more conversions.
I do, in addition to having my regular Etsy shop where I sell my items, also have a mock-up store myself. I mainly sell apparel, so this is all t-shirts and sweatshirts. I do have a special coupon code for you, which is Printify20 for 20% off all my mock-ups. And these are what I'll be using for the example today. But if you do find you need any human mock-ups, you can get me as your model if you want. That'll be put in the comments as well. So then we'll be showing you how to actually add your designs to Printify. So the way that it's going to work is we're going to add your design to Printify and then publish it onto Etsy. And then that way we'll finalize the listing on Etsy's side. And this is what's going to connect your accounts. So that way Printify knows exactly what to make as soon as you get that order. So again, this might sound complicated at the moment if you've never done it, but we're going to do a quick walkthrough together. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry, I'll walk you through it. And I think you can watch this replay later as well.
Sure, that's right. And I'm glad you mentioned that. All of our this webinar, as well as all of our previous webinars, you can find on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, but you can find those there, rewatch as many times as you like. And while you're there, check out all our helpful videos as well. We have videos that cover just about every single topic in the print-on-demand world. So whatever you're looking for, whether it's how to go viral on TikTok, how to how to discover popular niches, it's all on there. Do yourself a favor, take a tour and check out our YouTube channel. Okay, so here we go. I am itching for a little demonstration about all those things that you mentioned, Cassiy. Why don't you take control and show us a little bit of how you do what you do?
Okay, perfect. Says you need to stop sharing your screen and then I can.
Yeah. Okay, go for it.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, perfect. So I came over to Canva. Again, feel free to use that 30-day free trial. So to start creating a design is super simple. You just come up here to the right and say create a design, and then you're going to click this button, custom size, and you'll type in whatever the design size that it said for that print file on Printify. So for today's example, I'm going to be using Monster Digital's print file size for t-shirts, which is 4,500 by 5,100. And I'm going to do create a new design. So now essentially what you want to think of is this white box is your canvas. That's what's actually going to be printed on the shirt. And so then you're going to add things to this. So there's a lot of great templates on Canva. So here you can even type in t-shirt and you can find something to get started with if you're having trouble coming up with ideas. These have great different font combinations for you to use. There's a lot of different elements that you can use to add to your designs, like different graphics and things that you can use. And all of this is included in your Canva Pro subscription. It is a good idea, though, to take a look at what the terms and conditions are, because you can't just put one of these items on a shirt and sell it as is. You do need to add it to an overall design. So for this example, I'm going to be making a cat shirt. So cat shirts are something that sell really well on Etsy. There's a lot of bestsellers that are cat shirts. And so I'm going to make my own funny cat shirt. So essentially what this would look like, you type in cat shirt on Etsy, you look through the options, and then you want to make your own unique, funny version that goes through with that niche. So I'm going to do something like cat ears, for example. So there's lots of different graphics that you can choose from. As you see, there's tons of cute little options. So I'm going to do something like this, where I'm just going to get some cute little kitty cat ears. And then I'm going to make a shirt that says World's Best Cat Mom, since I like to make my designs more specific to exactly who it is. So to get text on your screen, you just push this text button, or you can click the letter T on your keyboard. And I'm just going to say World's Best. I'm going to use this here. So this is just kind of a quick Canva tutorial. You can grab the little edges, you can drag it. And again, I'm thinking about this as the actual t-shirt. So I like to put my designs all the way up to the top, but I don't like to put my t-shirt designs all the way to the edge of the paper, because then your design is going to be really, really large. I like to put my design about where the collar is, and this will make more sense later, but that's why I leave a little bit of space on each side. So you can change the font. There's tons of different font options to choose from that are already preloaded right onto Canva, or you can even purchase different fonts and upload them to Canva as well. So a lot of really, really good options. So I'm just going to use like a really nice kind of typewriter-y font here. And then they do give you this little button in the middle where you can center it. And then I'm going to do a second text box for Cat Mom. And a really great design aesthetic is to mix different fonts together. So you can do like a more blocky font and a cursive font, and that adds a lot of different, interest to yours. One of my favorite cursive fonts is called Apricots. I just think it's so cute. But you see how I actually had this in all caps. I didn't want it that way. So I can click these three little buttons over here and I can change the actual, I gotta highlight it and make it not anymore. This is not getting to be not cursive for me.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, looks cute as is. So then right there, we have a super simple design. Something to remember with t-shirt designs is simple really is best. One graphic and some words or just words. Really, you'll be so surprised when you look through the search results. It doesn't have to be this big, complicated design. So once you have the design just the way you want it, you'll come here to the share button, you'll click download, and you'll make sure this is selected on a PNG with a transparent background. So this is what's going to allow you to put those words actually onto the shirt, and you'll select download. So then from there, like I said, you're going to create a mock-up if you want. So here's one that particularly I have available in my mock-up store. So you'll come to Etsy. Let's say you're selling the Bella Canvas 3001 shirt like I do. You type into the search bar 3001 mock-up, and you'll see a lot of pictures that look like this pop up with their logo on it. And then you will actually get the digital download once you purchase it of the blank t-shirt. So then you'd come here to upload your file. You're going to upload that file that you just saved. And then you'll just drag it right here onto the shirt. So this is what it looks like to create your own mock-ups. It's super simple, super easy. And to make it look a little bit more realistic, I'm actually going to select this little transparency button and lower the opacity on that. That way it looks like the ink is a little bit more sunken into the shirt. And really, it's just as simple as that. I'm just going to select share. Now, saving your mockups is a tiny bit different. You actually want them as a JPEG file. If you get to Etsy and it says your file is too large for your mockup, it's probably because you saved it as a PNG on accident. So we're going to save this, and this is going to be the main product photo for your item once you get to Etsy. So super quick, super simple. This is exactly what it looks like. It really is this easy. So from there, the next step, like we talked about earlier, is uploading that to Printify. So you'll come over here to your Printify account, and you can come to the catalog and look through the options. But today, again, we're going to be selling a t-shirt for this example. I do prefer to sell the Bella Canvas 3001 in my store personally. And then you're going to see all of these different print providers that you can use. So Print Geek, Jams Designs, all of these are different print companies that Printify's brought together. They're all going to create the same exact shirt for you, but they all offer different colors and different sizes. So you'll find either by this ranking system they have in here, you can get your own samples to decide who you want to work with. Or I do have a lot of reviews for t-shirts and the printing on my channel that you can even go watch. And so for today's example, I'm going to be using Monster Digital, and you'll click Start Designing. So this part's super easy. You'll just come to My Device, and you're going to upload that PNG of your design that you saved already. And this is going to put it on the shirt. So you can see here how it's the exact size of this print box. That's because we chose the print file that Monster Digital needed. So if I click preview, this is going to show you that on the shirt, the design is going to come a little bit further than the collar on each side. So for me, this is about how big of designs I like to have them be. So that's why I showed you I don't use the whole space. And if you don't make it the exact right size when you're designing, you can grab these and make it larger or smaller. And again, it will tell you right here on the side, high resolution or not. And so you always want to make sure that it's high resolution for your printing. And Printify will actually stop you if it's worse than up quality, and they'll say, no, we're not going to even let you try and sell that because it will look bad. So don't worry, they really make sure that you're taken care of. So then as simple as that, you can have just white, like I'm going to show you in this example, or you can click this button and pick other variations of the product type, like different colored shirts, if you want to sell it on multiple colors. So then super simple, you just click save. And now here is where you'll put more information in for your listing. So again, we're cruising through this. Trust me, it's simple. So if you want, you can put your product title here, or you can put your description in here, but I like to do that on Etsy's side. You can also update your pricing here if you want to. I would recommend doing your competitor research to decide what your pricing is going to be, especially depending on what your cost is and your product type. But go through those same 10 stores you found to validate your niche and see what they're using for their pricing. For today's example, I'm just going to price my shirts at $24.99. And then the larger sizes are a little bit more expensive, so you can make those more if you like. But again, you'd want to do your own competitor research to make sure this makes sense. So then here, what I like to do is I like to say the product visibility in store. I like to say hide in store. This is so I can actually add my mockups, add my titles, and add everything before it's available for a customer to actually see and purchase. And the visibility, I like to say to show all the variants is available for purchase, even if something's out of stock. Because again, like you saw, there's tons of other printers for this item. So if Monster Digital had, say, the size medium and white out of stock at this moment, I still want to get that order from someone on Etsy, because then maybe someone like Swift POD or one of the other companies can print it for me instead. So then here you're going to make a new shipping profile if this is your very first time designing, and that's the last time you'll have to do this. We will set this up on the Etsy side, and all you do is click publish. And just as simple as that, you actually have a listing in your Etsy store, and that is going to load over onto Etsy once it loads. So hopefully that seemed super, super simple for you guys. It really doesn't have to be super hard. I am in my actual mockup store right now is what you're looking at here. This is where I sell my mockups and make examples for my YouTube channel. So this is really what it'll look like once the product comes over. You will see these Printify mockups that come for free from Printify. And then if you want to add the mockup that we created, you can add that here. So you just add a photo, and then you'd add that there. I'd also consider adding a size chart for whatever you're selling. So for example, you'd go to Etsy and type in whatever your product is plus size chart. Here's one that I have for sale in my store just for an example. So that way your customers know what the perfect size is. So once you have your size chart and your mockup photos in here, these can all be Printify mockups. These can all be mockups that you purchased. This is when you'll decide kind of your creativity, what you want it to look like. And then next you will enter your title. So I did already complete that piece here. So to get the title for your shirt, you're going to go see what other people are using for their titles and tags, because that's going to give you clues on what people are typing in on Etsy already. So you don't want to just copy anybody's exact title, but you'd come to say Etsy and type in cat shirt, and you're going to click through all of these ones that say popular now. And you're going to see, okay, they say things like custom cat shirt, you know, cute cat shirt, funny black cat shirt. And you're going to go through the top listings for cat shirts and come up with your own title. So that's exactly what I came up with right here. So I came up with cat shirt, cat mom gift, cat lover shirt, world's best cat mom, funny cat shirt, funny cat gift. And I like to separate them with commas, but you will see people doing this a couple different ways. So that's really what it'll look like. You want to use the full 140 character title if you can. And then for another company or a person, that's what you're going to say, since you're not the one creating this item. Printify is. It's a finished product and it's made to order. The t-shirts or whatever category it is should already be in there for you. And then you can answer these questions down here if there's anything particular that applies, like a certain occasion or a holiday. You've got your renewal options. So I have mine set right now to manual renewal. What this is every time you post something to Etsy for sale, it costs you 20 cents. And then in 4 months, it's either going to deactivate if it doesn't sell, or it can automatically renew and stay for sale. It's also going to renew and get another 4 months every time it sells. So if you sell this in a week, your 4 months starts over and you repay that 20 cents. It is a physical product, and then you're going to come up with your own description. I would recommend going over the hot and cold points of what your item is. So I have what type of print this is. It's direct to garment printing, washing instructions, sizing, requirements, and if you take returns or exchanges. And these are, again, all things that you can come up with after looking through what your competitors are using for their descriptions, so you can get a better idea of the types of things customers might ask. Then you just need to set up your production partner. So this, again, you only have to do one time. So you'll click production partner, type in Printify, and I think Printify does have a great article where they tell you exactly how to fill this out. You can say you're in the United States. You can pick where this location is. You can pick where, say, Monster Digital is located, if that's who you're going to be using most of the time. You have to say what they do for you. So I say they print the shirts for me, and then answer these questions at the bottom, like I don't have the technical ability or equipment to make them by myself. I design everything myself, and they do everything for me, and update partner. Now, every time you do Etsy listings with Printify, you're going to check this box, and then Etsy knows who your production partner is, which is mandatory. You pick the section that you want it to be in, and then you're going to come up with 13 tags. Again, this is how people are going to find you on Etsy. This is what people call SEO, or your search engine optimization. So if someone types in funny cat shirt, you want to come up in that search result if you're a funny cat shirt. And so you'll come up with different keywords that you think someone's going to type into the Etsy search bar, that if your item came up, that you'd be a good fit for. So again, you can come up with these yourself based on what you know you would type in if you were looking for this product, or go through competitors and see what types of things they're using. But this is really what a completed one would actually look like. And then you'll come down here to the bottom and again, set your prices. If you didn't already do that, you can do this on Etsy's side as well, if you didn't already do it on Printify. And then you can update your prices at any point on Etsy. That does not have to necessarily match what's in Printify, because again, the only things that are connected is the order information. If you do edit anything like your designs, then that would be a little bit different. Then last one, so this is super simple, super fast. You need to set up your shipping profile. So this is the one that actually came over with it. So you'll see something that says like $585 shipping or $435 shipping. You'll click edit. And then this is where you'll decide your shipping. I would recommend renaming this. So let's say you want to charge free shipping. Then you would pick where it's shipping from. So again, this can be your zip code. This can be where you're most often going to be shipping items from. Your custom range is going to depend on how long it takes for Printify to ship their items. That will be shown when you're looking at which print provider, but typically things are between 2 to 5 business days. Sometimes they can go a little longer if you want to do something like 2 to 7 business days, just to cover if anything runs late. And then if you want to do free shipping, you'd come down here and say free shipping, or you can do a fixed price and do a fixed price. And then this is also where you decide if you wanted to sell in, say, another country as well. You can set that up, or you can have it just in the United States. This is super customizable, and click Save Profile. So once this is set up, the next time you go to do an Etsy listing, you're always going to select the one that says, say, free ship, and you won't have to do this again. And then lastly, all you'll do is click publish. And now this will be live in your actual Etsy store for customers to be able to see and purchase. So super, super simple. I know it seems complicated at first, but hopefully this gives you a better kind of view into what the whole process looks like all at once.
Wow, Cassiy, what a comprehensive tutorial. Thank you. I mean, you showed us everything from soup to nuts. So I hope everyone was paying attention. And if you want to revisit that or replay it, I have a feeling this is the section of today's webinar that's going to get replayed and replayed. You're free to do so on our YouTube page. Just navigate to the tab that says live, and you can have access to all of our webinars, including this one. And you touched on a few things during your presentation that I think that we covered in previous webinars. You talked about pricing. We did a deep dive into pricing and all that. So if that is something that you want to explore, we certainly have that in spades for you in our pricing webinar. And also we also have covered the search engine optimization that you mentioned. But let's go ahead and continue with and wrap up our webinar. There we go. All right, just a minute. Let me make sure I'm looking at the same thing here. Okay, this is how you know it's live, people. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's just wrap it up with some key takeaways here, Cassiy. Just let us know, out of all the things we covered today, what should our audience remember?
Absolutely. So, just getting started is the simplest thing. I know, again, this all might seem like a lot, but if you just get started with your business, you're going to have a much better time than if you try and figure all this out beforehand. It's like when you start a new job, you have to go through orientation. You're not going to be perfect at it right at first. So it does take time and practice. You're not going to likely just be perfect at everything right when you get started, just like anything else. So I kind of put in here like managing your expectations of what it looks like to really get started with a print-on-demand business. So I didn't really start getting consistent sales until I had over 100 items listed in my store. So I'd really recommend having a goal of creating 500 listings in your first year. That's just a few designs per day, 5 days a week. Again, it sounds really complicated, but how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. Don't feel like you have to gobble it up all at once. I just want to kind of stress that this takes a little bit of time. So make it your goal to list, learn, repeat, and everything you do should start with that research that we put a lot of emphasis on in this video. So that's going to help make sure that you are successful. You don't have to make it all up yourself. Obviously, you always want to put your creative spin on things, but you always want to start with something that's already proven, and you'll have a lot better time. So if you start and aren't finding the success that you want, then go back to that research piece and see if you're really actually competitive to what else is out there and what's already proven, and you'll have a much better experience.
All right. Well, thank you so much. As I promised everybody at the beginning of today's presentation, we're going to be doing a live Q&A session with Cassiy here, and I'm going to get that started for all of us in just a moment as soon as I find the tab that I need here. There we go. Excuse me. If I can just, this is how you know it's live, people, because we're searching for the right tab. Here we go. Okay. All right. So our first question is, thank you so much for everyone for joining us and for sticking with us through the entire program. But I would like to now find the, oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. This is how you know it's live, people.
You had a lot of tabs open there.
I know I do, don't I? Okay, let's try this again. There we go. All right. Oh, no. Where is the tab that I'm looking for? Just a minute. All right, here, give me that. Yes, I know, thank you. All right, well, get right to it in just a moment. Oh, hold on.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation. If you haven't gotten started yet, I'm really hoping that helps make it not feel so overwhelming to get started. So hopefully that was really helpful to anyone who's sitting there wondering where to even start.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right. Now we're going to try this one more time. All right, let's try this one more time. Where we go. Thank you for sticking with us. Let's to answer our first question by Kennedy Musich. Thank you, Kennedy, for sticking with us. Kennedy wants to know about how taxes work and copyright rules for design. Well, we covered that a little bit, and but is there anything else you can illuminate on that subject for us, Cassiy?
Yeah, so copyrights are a little bit more complicated. That's something that you learn more over time. It's not like the trademark database where you can super simple, quick and easy go search for something. So just try and use your best common sense that if it's somebody else's intellectual property, like again, Mickey Mouse, or things from different TV shows or movies, all of that's going to be copyrighted. Even things like the Disney font are copyrighted. So if it's from something, that's your kind of cue to stay away from it. Beyond that, there's little things like the word onesie is trademarked, and things you'll learn over time. But as far as taxes, the nice thing about Printify is anytime an order comes from Etsy to Printify, they are waiving the sales taxes for you because Etsy handles that for you. So the sales tax piece is taken care of for you. You don't have to file those, but Etsy does not take anything for your income taxes. So this is something that you have to track your income and track your expenses. And then at the time you do your taxes, you will get taxed on the profit that you made. So that's why, again, it's important to go into your Printify account and see how much you spent on Printify each month. And then you get to deduct that and things like your mock-ups, your Canva subscriptions. And then you, again, just pay your normal taxes, like wherever from you live. And then you pay your income taxes on that. Obviously, depending on where you live, then it might all look very different, though.
Yeah, and this is the best tax advice I can give anybody out there. Please consult a tax professional. We are not sales tax professionals. So the best bet to set yourself up for long-term success is find a professional and get their advice. Okay. But thank you very much, Kennedy, for your question. Okay, our next question comes from Nelson Silva. Thank you very much, Nelson, for sticking with us all the way through the end, technical difficulties and all. Nelson's question is, how would an Etsy seller process a customer return or exchange with Printify?
Absolutely. So that's all up to you. Again, you are the middleman. So you get to decide if you want to take returns or exchanges. Now, I will say that if there's an issue, so let's say something gets lost in the mail, the print comes bad, there's a stain on the shirt, those types of things, you go in Printify, go to that order and submit an issue, and they will cover all of that for you. So if there's an issue with something, Printify will reprint or refund that item and ship it to the customer. But if it's just that the customer doesn't like it and you've decided that you want to take it returns and exchanges, then that's going to be completely on you to decide how you want to do that. So you could have them ship it back to you. I personally wouldn't do that because I don't want everyone to have my address. So I, in those situations, would just give a refund potentially, but that is something that you'd kind of have to decide how you want to do it, but you don't have to take returns or exchanges if you don't want to.
Yeah, and we make it super easy. We've got a button in your orders page. There's an issue with your order. All you gotta do is click the button, follow the instructions, and it's really as simple as that. Okay, so no problems with that whatsoever. But thanks again for your question, Nelson. Let's take just a couple more questions. I know we're running a bit long, but I still want to address as many of these questions as we can because you were so nice enough to join us and stick with us through the end. This next one comes from Evelise Figueroa, and if I butchered your name, my apologies, Evelise, but that is a beautiful name. Evelise would like to know, is Printify really free? How much money is needed to have in the bank to start selling on Printify? Well, I'll take at least part of this, and you can finish up, Cassiy. Printify is a free service to use. I mean, we only charge you if an order is made from your storefront. So if you're not making any sales, well, of course, we're not going to charge you. We do offer the Printify Premium subscription. That's a monthly subscription of $29, and that gives you access to 20% off of every single Printify item you fulfill with us. And if you make at least $150 worth of sales, that subscription pays for itself. So if you're already at that level, it's kind of a no-brainer. Okay, but what would you recommend in terms of having a little cash in the bank to get started, Cassiy?
Absolutely. I'd say, again, like we talked about with the payment reserves, you need to float the payments when you get the orders for about a week and a half. That's how long you're going to have made the payment to Printify to print the item before Etsy pays you in the very beginning. So I'd say that as long as you have maybe $100, $200, right? Because there's some expenses like mock-ups or design softwares that you might want to purchase. I'd say starting with $100 or $200 should be more than enough to get started, since again, Etsy will be replenishing you for what the customer paid minus their fees, and then you pay Printify and keep that what's left over. Hopefully that makes sense.
Just a couple more questions here. This one comes from Waltoons. Thank you, Waltoons, for joining. Does Printify have a way to connect designers and illustrators with people interested in selling on Etsy and Printify? Yes, we have what's called the Experts Program, the Printify Experts Program, where we work with industry professionals in several different areas, be it designing, digital marketing, storefront building, whatever it may be. And you can find that on our webpage. We're gonna see if we can put that into the chat. But there you can connect with industry professionals in those various areas underneath the Printify umbrella. So they've been vetted, so you know that you can trust them with your business. And what's kind of cool about that is that you would be getting a slightly better deal than if you were to go to them outside of the Printify framework, because in exchange for access to our merchants, they give us a little bit of a better price. And that's just one of the advantages of working with Printify. And this isn't something we make money on. This is just something that we've recognized that is super helpful for merchants like you. So if this is something you want to take advantage of, we certainly have that available for you. Okay, let's take one or two more questions. Let's take one from Ann Gothong. Thank you, Ann, for joining us. Ann wants to know how long does it take to get Etsy payments received typically?
Absolutely. So again, in the beginning, it's a week. You get paid once per week from Etsy. But again, that can be a little bit of a lag depending on if you've actually shipped the product by that time. So typically it's about a week, but after the 90-day period, after you've opened your shop, they do start to pay you daily if you choose to switch it to that. And so you get sales today and get paid for them tomorrow. So after your first 90 days, it does get much quicker. So if you are concerned about this, get started sooner. That way you can get through that 90 days process faster.
Okay. Linda Blatchford. Thank you, Linda. Linda has a quick question here. She already has an Etsy shop, but will connecting to Printify affect it? Well, I mean, it will affect it in terms of then you will be able to fulfill your products automatically when someone buys on your Etsy store. If you're talking about will it affect any of the settings that you have on the Etsy side, I don't believe so. Cassiy, it's not going to affect anything on the Etsy side, right?
No, it won't. So what happens when you get an order for something that's not fulfilled through Printify? So let's say you're still making some items and selling them alongside your Printify items, you'll just see them in your other orders tab, because Printify does have a tab next to the orders tab. That's where any item not connected to Printify goes. So they won't try and fulfill these items or anything. But if you wanted to switch those items to be fulfilled by Printify, if you go in that other orders tab, you can select the item and add your design and add it to be connected.
Okay. Let's take one final question. And again, thank you everyone for sticking with us through all this. This is from Benjamin. Benjamin asks, should he do unisex clothing to start out with so everyone can try the shirts? What are the advantages of offering in unisex?
Absolutely. So it's a great question. I have always sold unisex clothing in my store for a couple of reasons. The sizing is really consistent. I really enjoy the Bella Canvas 3001 t-shirt because people really enjoy the size. I myself, as a woman, enjoy buying this shirt. This is the one that I choose to purchase when I want a design. And so it makes it really nice and easy because you can come up with your infographics or the information for your listings, like your description, your size chart, and everything is the same, whether it's a listing for unisex, a listing for women, a listing for men. It's just super simple and easy, and people really love that shirt.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so unisex pretty much good for everybody. I have a ton of those Bella Canvas 3001 shirts myself. So if it's a guy like me, and it still works, and it still works for everybody else, you know you'll be safe. Okay, so wonderful stuff. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Cassiy. There's so much cool information there. Please go back and revisit it on our YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're there. And again, thank you for sticking with us throughout this presentation. I hope you learned something. Again, there's going to be something for everybody here. I promised everyone a chance to win some prizes. So I hope you're paying attention because we have a trivia question based on the information that Cassiy presented today. What we're going to do right now is put a link to a survey into the chat, just a short survey. Let us know how we did. And on a scale of 1 to 10, let us know what you'd like to see from Printify webinars in the future and answer today's trivia question. 3 lucky people will win a Printify webinars hoodie, a Printify webinars personalized water bottle, $50 $10 of Printify sales credit, and of course, access to Cassie's niche calendar. Okay, so Cassie, what is today's trivia question?
Today's trivia question is, what software did I use to create the design in today's tutorial?
Oh, hope you're paying attention. Click the link, answer it on the survey. 3 random winners will win the prize package. We'll be in contact with you. So thank you so much for joining us. Join us again in another 2 weeks where we'll be sitting down with another Printify superstar, Jenny from the Shop. You may know her from TikTok, but she'll be joining us in 2 weeks. We're going to sit down and explore her print-on-demand world so you can learn from some of the best. And this is part of our commitment to you, to bring the print-on-demand world to you so you can learn, make yourself a more profitable merchant. So thank you so much for joining us. Cassie, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. Our community out there learned so much from you. So thank you. And everybody out there, join us again in 2 weeks. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks for having me.